Welcome to the DEFCON Warning System Briefing. Today, we're digging into one of the most misunderstood parts of U.S. military readiness, the DEFCON levels. If you've spent time online, you've seen it, people shouting, "We're at DEFCON 1," whenever there's a crisis. But what does that actually mean? What are the DEFCON levels, who sets them, and what happens when they change? Let's break it all down. If you find these articles helpful or informative, like and subscribe so that others can find these videos as well. Also leave a comment. We would love to hear your thoughts on this subject. First, let's clear up some common misconceptions. DEFCON counts down, not up. 5 is normal, 1 is maximum readiness. It's not a single nationwide dial. Different commands, and sometimes even specific forces, can be at different DEFCONs. The current DEFCON isn't public. The Pentagon doesn't announce it. If you see a website saying the official DEFCON today, that's an estimate, not an official release. And finally, exercises use code words instead of the DEFCON numbers themselves, so that practice traffic isn't confused with the real thing. What DEFCON is and who sets it. DEFCON stands for Defense Readiness Condition. It was created in 1959 by the Joint Chiefs of Staff as a way to standardize alert postures across the entire military. So who sets the DEFCON level? Ultimately, it's controlled by the President and the Secretary of Defense. Orders are passed through the chairman of the Joint Chiefs and flow down to the combatant commanders, who lead U.S. forces in different regions of the world. It's important to remember, there isn't one single DEFCON for the entire country. Different commands, or even specific parts of the force, can be ordered to different levels depending on the crisis. And because this system deals with war readiness, the current DEFCON is not made public. Now let's walk through each of the 5 levels. Each has an official exercise code word, and each represents a specific state of readiness. DEFCON 5, Fade Out. This is normal day-to-day readiness, the lowest state. DEFCON 4, Double Take. This means above normal readiness. Intelligence monitoring is heightened and security measures are tightened. DEFCON 3, Roundhouse. This is a significant increase. Portions of forces are placed on higher alert, military leaves are canceled, and air units are ready to generate quickly, sometimes within 15 minutes. DEFCON 2, Fast Pace. This is one step away from maximum readiness. Forces are poised for combat, deployments are accelerated, and nuclear forces are brought near launch posture. DEFCON 1, Cocked Pistol. This is maximum readiness. War plans are executable immediately. The U.S. has never publicly acknowledged reaching DEFCON 1. Why use code words like roundhouse or cocked pistol? Because in exercises, if a message accidentally leaked, the code words reduce the chance of confusion with a real-world alert. How DEFCON has been used in history. We've seen DEFCON levels change a handful of times in history. During the Cuban Missile Crisis in 1962, most of the U.S. military was placed at DEFCON 3. Strategic Air Command, the nuclear bomber force, went to DEFCON 2, the closest we've ever come to maximum alert. In the Yom Kippur War of 1973, the U.S. military worldwide went to DEFCON 3 amid fears of possible Soviet involvement. On September 11, 2001, U.S. forces went to DEFCON 3 for a short period before it was lowered. These cases also highlight the flexibility of the system. Strategic Air Command could be at one DEFCON while the rest of the force was at another. What triggers a change? The exact thresholds are classified, but historically DEFCON changes have been driven by intelligence of an imminent attack or adversary mobilization, strategic force movements like ballistic missile activity, great power military collisions in crisis zones, attacks on the U.S. homeland or treaty allies. During the 1973 Yom Kippur War, for example, DEFCON 3 was ordered because of concern about possible Soviet action in the Middle East. On September 11th, the change reflected the urgent need for homeland defense. What the military actually does at each level, so what happens when the DEFCON changes? Here are some typical examples, though the full checklists are classified. Moving from DEFCON 5 to 4 means intensified intelligence monitoring and tightened security. At DEFCON 3, forces recall key personnel, cancel non-essential leave, disperse aircraft, move ships, and raise communications readiness. At DEFCON 2, sortie generation is surged, deployments are accelerated, and nuclear forces stand at near-launch readiness. At DEFCON 1, the military is at final war execution posture. Forces are fully prepared to carry out war plans on order. Remember, not all commands are at the same DEFCON. The system is designed so that different theaters, or even specific forces, can operate at different alert levels. Also, while all branches follow DEFCON orders, each service has its own internal readiness systems. For example, the Army uses REDCON to measure how ready a unit is to move, while the Air Force has other measures of sortie readiness. These don't replace DEFCON, they complement it. Other alert systems you'll hear about. Let's also clear up the difference between DEFCON and other alert systems. FPCON is Force Protection Condition. That's about base and installation security against terrorism, ranging from normal up to Delta. REDCON is the Army's unit readiness condition, from 1 to 4. INFOCON or CyberCon deal with cybersecurity. WatchCon is used on the Korean Peninsula to describe surveillance posture. And there are broader systems like LERTCON and EMERGCON. DEFCON is just one part of that larger family. These are often confused online with DEFCON, but they serve very different purposes. During exercises, the military avoids using the words DEFCON 3 or DEFCON 2. Instead, they use terms like roundhouse or fast pace. That way, if someone overhears an exercise message, it can't be mistaken for the real thing. There are also other drills, like White Pinnacle, which test reporting speed. These are exercises, not actual alerts, even though the messages look very official. Here are some historical highlights. 1962 Cuban Missile Crisis, Strategic Air Command at DEFCON 2, rest of the force at DEFCON 3. 1973 Yom Kippur War, Global DEFCON 3. September 11, 2001, DEFCON 3, then lowered later. These are the only publicly known times the DEFCON level has changed dramatically. And now, some frequently asked questions. Is DEFCON 1 the same as nuclear war has started? Not exactly. DEFCON 1 means maximum readiness and war may be imminent, but it doesn't necessarily mean weapons are already flying. Will the public be told if DEFCON changes? No. The US does not routinely announce its DEFCON. Information only becomes public later through declassification or memoirs. Do DEFCON levels control civilian alerts? No. Civilian systems, like the Department of Homeland Security's advisories, are entirely separate. Why do some websites post a current DEFCON? Because the government doesn't announce it, private groups make their own estimates from open sources. But these are not official. Here's what you should remember. DEFCON is a flexible, command-driven system of readiness. It's not one single nationwide lever, and it's not public. It's also not the same as FPCON, REDCON, or other alert systems. And while DEFCON has been raised in the past, the US has never acknowledged reaching DEFCON 1. So the next time you hear someone cry, "We're at DEFCON 1," you'll know that's almost certainly not the case. This has been the DEFCON Warning System Briefing. A reminder, we are an independent, civilian project, and we are not affiliated with or endorsed by the US government. Our goal is to provide analysis and clarity on nuclear and strategic issues. Stay safe, stay informed, and we'll see you next time.